Welcome to our podcast, Life According to Lisa.
And sometimes I sort of get to say something.
Today's episode is the good, the bad, and the complicated.
Yeah, we're talking about heroes, villains, and anti-heroes.
Who would you trust more with your life?
Captain Kirk from Star Trek?
Beth Dutton from Yellowstone?
Or Tony Soprano?
We're going to discuss the characters we admire, the villains we love to hate.
And, the anti-heroes, they're a little in between, here and there, not black and white, but gray.
All right. So let's dive into some of the most unforgettable villains in TV, movies, and literature.
Here's a question for you, darling. Who's the greatest villain of all time? Not the most evil, not the most powerful, but who do you think's the best?
Wait, you mean the one who you couldn't stop watching? The one who makes the hero better?
Well, there's two just to split a hair here, there's two different things. You can have a villain and a monster. Like, for instance, Hannibal Lecter is probably the most famous monster.
I heard monsters have very interesting lives.
Exactly. But Hannibal, everybody knows who Hannibal Lecter is. And in fact, if in another...
I wasn't doing Hannibal.
No, you weren't, actually.
You
have to talk...
Case.
Yes.
I am a very big Bugs Bunny fan.
Yes. But
I was just watching a Looney Tune 10 minutes before we
yeah,
recorded
and if they were still doing Looney Tunes, they would probably show Bugs all wrapped up like a Hannibal Lecter, like they take him out like all in a straitjacket and his face covered. Whenever you see that in another show, right away, immediately your mind goes to Hannibal Lecter. Mm-hmm. He's like the most famous. And he's a monster. And there's other monsters.
Originally from the book, The Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
I mean, you read the book, you watched the movie.
Correct. And what happens is there are monsters and then there's villains. Villains are often more cerebral. They talk, they think, right? And
yes. He's a monster.
Right. So
Freddy Krueger's a monster.
Right. So my idea is that
I still can't go in the shower thinking that the door's going to lock and the water's going to fill up and I'm going to burn to death.
And I can't get in the shower because you're still in there washing your hair. Nothing to do with Freddy Krueger at all.
Anyone that has a glass shower door knows what I'm talking about if you've seen the Freddy Krueger movies.
Okay. So we were talking and batting around, and Lisa got mad when I talked about more obscure people.
I didn't get mad.
Well,
Who gets mad?
You do.
I mean, the word mad.
Maybe we should test. Maybe maybe I should tape you, and you could listen to what you say.
No, we have some outtakes when I yell at
Yes, yes. The real Lisa comes out. Think Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, right.
So what happens is.
All right, snap to it. Snap to it. You want to say your favorite guy from Justified?
Well, no. What I was going to say was you could, like, for instance, if we were going to go in a literary direction, right? And the most famous one, as I always go back to Sherlock Holmes, you guys are probably getting tired of me talking about it, but James Moriarty is the foil to Sherlock Holmes.
Say that 3 times fast.
James Moriarty is the foil. And they bring him into all different kinds of shows. Even in Star Trek, he appeared.
I would watch every one of them. And I have watched every one of them.
And they make, like, young Sherlock, the one that just came out, they made him his friend, before they became enemies. And they were rivals. And
I love that.
Sherlock loves to tussle against him and match his wits. And he thinks he's a worthy adversary. Which I think is, if I was a cop, I don't want a worthy adversary that could possibly best me. I want somebody that can beat the hell out of and win immediately. I don't need to have an adversary. That's stupid, but that's okay.
It makes good writing.
Well, it makes it. It's right. It's how writing is. You want to have a protagonist and an antagonist.
I mean,
right?
That's it. There's always a villain.
If it's only one way,
there's a villain and a conflict in every story. Otherwise, it's boring.
That's the problem with slasher movies. In a slasher movie, the slasher or the monster, like Hannibal Lecter guy or whatever, is an impossible force. He's just nonstop. You can't stop him until the very end.
There's no reasoning.
Right. There's no intellectual thing. So Moriarty is the most intellectual of villains. But Lisa had the idea and said that, some villains make the hero smarter and better, right? And that's what Holmes always said about Moriarty. But I picked out a more obscure one that I think is great, which is Boyd Crowder from Justified, okay, with Raylan Givens. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best shows around.
And the books are good.
Right. Elmo Leonard, who's probably my favorite, in the top 3 of my favorite authors, wrote the books about Raylan Givens. And the story is that him and Boyd Dowler, as young guys, like 17, 18 years old, worked together in a coal mine. And when you watch the series Justified, in the very beginning, Boyd is a white supremacist, and he shoots a bazooka and blows up a black church, okay? And he's got Nazi tattoos and the whole deal. So right away, everybody hates him and he's the worst, right? As the series progressed, you learn that he's like troubled and he's messed up but why Elmore Leonard is such a great writer, okay? His hero, okay, Marshall Givens, is also conflicted because his father is a criminal, okay? And he becomes a lawman, all right? So he understands, he's worked with Boyd. He knows intrinsically, he isn't a horrible person. He's a guy, and he went the wrong way, And there's a lot of...
Wrong way.
Well, yeah, obviously. And over time, he changes. He finds Jesus, and he ends up running a cult, and all this stuff happens over all of the seasons, right? But those are an antagonist and a protagonist that tussle back and forth through through the books.
Now, I know you read the books, and then you watched the show.
Right.
How close was the show to the books?
Very close. And because Elmore Leonard, just like Michael Connelly with Bosch, and the lady from Outlander, whose name escapes me, all are intimately involved in the making of the show. That's why when Bill Lawrence makes our book, Lisa has to be very involved.
I have to be very involved.
She has to be the consultant.
Because I'm going to say, nope, they wouldn't have said that.
Right.
She wouldn't have said that.
Right.
He wouldn't have done that.
Yes. The writers have to be, the person who comes up with it has to be somehow involved. Now, I've often quoted this to Lisa. They asked Elmore Leonard about how they make his books into movies, and they had made a particular book into a movie starring Charles Bronson called Mr. Majeski about watermelons, and it's a whole big story. But anyway, they asked him, why is it so different than your book? Aren't you upset? He says, no. He said, my book is my book, and it'll always be there for people to read. But I got a big check.
Yes. Very big check. So he was okay with that.
But Boyd Crowder is an example, okay? Now, another example of a villain, okay, a gold standard villain
Wait,
is...
are we going back in time?
Yes.
Rolling back in time?
Well, I'm old, Lisa. I have to go back in time. Okay.
So we have to have current, and then we got to roll back in time. Here we go.
We have new, old, and in the future. We'll talk about future villains. X-Ray 12.
Go back in time. Let's go.
Okay. Remember Dallas with J.R. Ewing? He was a villain. Okay. He was an intellectual villain, not physical, more or less.
He was ruthless.
Yes. And it was family dynamics as well. It was fighting with his brother when he should have just thrown him in the pool because he was the man from Atlantis, so he could just swim around and enjoy.
But he was also, I liked him when he was Sergeant, Major
Nelson.
Major Nelson.
Well, I thought he was I thought he was an idiot, Major Nelson, because
I love Dreamy Jeannie, so you can't say
if I had the chance to be home with Barbara Eden and she's calling me master, or I'm going to be an astronaut.
Whatever.
I'm not going to be an astronaut. I'm sorry. I'm retiring immediately.
We
were kids. We didn't know, but I kind of thought something's weird here. Just saying.
She was a genie in a bottle.
Yes,
we
she
all
was.
like mesmerized.
Yes. So,
but he is bad in the show.
Right.
He's always like 3 moves ahead.
Right.
He's very manipulative.
And he's very smart and he knows what he's doing. But sometimes he trips himself up because it gets
he's
too...
the intellectual
right,
villain.
Right. But a lot of those guys, what they do is they try and do things and they get caught up because the game is more important than the actual
but he wasn't
success.
like that super villain.
Well,
like from Batman.
Right. He's not the Joker. He's not a psychotic person. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that, and they try to humanize him. That's when he got shot. Right.
Who shot JR? Come on. Wasn't that the best?
That was the biggest thing back in the day. So there was another one, just to go back, one last old one, right, Lisa?
Where are we going?
Roll
it back.
But
let me think of big teased hair and shoulder pads.
Yes. Our friend Joan Collins, Alexis Carrington, right?
Yes.
Now, Joan Collins, believe it or not.
She was the queen of glamorous TV villains.
Yes, but of course, the most famous thing that she ever did, in my opinion, she was on Star Trek again. And she met Captain Kirk, and she ends up dying because she walks in front of a bus. I guess they said you're English, so you got to get hit by a bus. But in that episode, Captain Kirk goes back in time, falls in love with her. They're in Chicago, and she's like running a Salvation Army type thing. And Spock says if she lives, she'll keep the United States out of the war, and like Hitler's going to win. So she has to get hit by the bus.
Yeah.
So when Captain Kirk tries to save her, they grab him and she gets hit by the bus. And that was
Was she in red?
And
Was she
no, I
wearing-
don't think so. You mean dressed in red?
Yes.
No, she didn't have a red shirt on, but she might as well have had it.
I know. She should have been in a red dress.
And we're talking about that because everybody with a red shirt that goes down to the planet with Spock and McCoy and Kirk dies.
They don't come back.
Every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they say to Lisa, "Why are you wearing a red shirt? Don't wear that."
But the big scene with Crystal, I mean, that's what everybody talked about. That legendary performance that they were fighting in the water fountain.
Yes.
That was like, that's what people remember.
I always liked her more than Linda Evans. I never liked Linda Evans because she ruined one of my favorite shows, The Big Valley, because she was too cutesy, you know.
Well, even in Dynasty, she didn't fight back really. She was a little mouchard.
Well, as you know, Lisa, I prefer brunettes, so I didn't really care for the
Aw.
blonde, you know. So I didn't care. I think, you know, she should have held her under the water a little just for fun.
I mean, Alexis Carrington kept us on our toes.
Yeah, and she was fun, and she was sassy, and she was great, and you could understand
It
why.
wasn't like she was knifing people. She was
No.
just manipulating things.
Right, she wanted to get things to work. Now, when we watched the new Dynasty, it wasn't anywhere near as good.
And she was the first wife.
Right. And it was nowhere near as good as the second Dynasty, but that's what often happens. They're a pale imitation of what happened before. Okay, so and we sat down and we said, let's make a list of all our favorite villains. And I came up with one who's Jim specializes in obscure things from long ago. But Wolf Fat from Hawaii Five-0.
Yes.
He was a great
Yes.
villain.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
He was like this mastermind.
Right, but he was very, he wasn't one of these guys that chewed the scenery, right? I told you the first movie I ever saw was Goldfinger, right? So Goldfinger used to chew the scenery, as they say, was when somebody overacts. And one of the most famous scenes in all of James Bond is when they have Sean Connery staked out and a laser beam is coming towards his crotch. Now, think about that for a minute and say, okay, Ian Fleming, I think you have a problem. You've been hanging out with Taylor Sheridan and the lady that wrote Outlander because you guys are a little weird. But you know, the laser beam is going to his crotch. And James Bond says, do you expect me to talk? And Goldfinger says, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. You know? So that's the funny part, because you ever notice when a serial killer or a bad guy has a gun on a hero, and then he starts making a speech.
Oh my God. And it just goes on and on and on. And it's like, is that on purpose so that we could wait for the cops to show up or the person that's going to come help the other person, the victim? You know, I feel like they have to get it all out.
Now, one of my favorite authors, Lauren.
Before they kill you, they
Right.
have to tell you everything and
Correct.
where it started.
Yes, go back to the beginning. So one of my favorite authors, I'll also mention, Lauren Eastelman, who's much ignored, a great mystery writer. If you ever want to read a good mystery writer, had a series of books by this guy Macklin, who was a hitman. And excuse me. And Macklin is in a situation where another hitman gets the drop on him.
Ooh.
And this guy Macklin, who's a hitman, okay? So another hitman is sent to kill him and gets the drop on him. And then he starts talking. And he just pulls out a gun and shoots him. And as the guy's dying, he says, no talking, just shooting.
Oh, they did that in
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Yes, right.
That's when we were all like laughing that they had swords and he just took out his gun and shot him.
Right. It's stupid sometimes and it's overdone.
And they made fun of that.
Right. And right away you're going to say, oh,
Exactly what you're talking about. That's what they made fun of in the movie.
They made a speech. So Wolf Fat didn't do that. He didn't talk hardly at all. I think if he said 10 sentences in all of Hawaii Five-0,
He just made faces.
but he's pretty good. Now,
Like his eyes. Like a doll's eyes.
well, then we go back to like Game of Thrones has a lot of villains, but
Yes.
the two major ones, who do you think, Lisa?
So many of them.
Who would you
Well,
talk about?
Cersei and Joffrey. Those
Yeah,
are two. That
the
I would-
Lannisters.
The Lannisters. Yeah. I would definitely put them as the most complex villain.
Well, I would say that they are very villainous, obviously, and but they also, I think Joffrey chewed the scenery a little bit. Cersei was a little bit more circumspect. You didn't really realize how crazy she was, and she could pretend to be normal. You know, she could pretend to be the queen and be stately. Jeffrey was just off the wall.
Bots. Crazy.
And he was so bad, people hated them so much that the actor stopped acting. He said, I can't even walk down the street. People want to kill me. He said, I can't do it. That's how much people hated him.
Wow.
You know? So, you know, and then we could, you know, keep going with villains because when you think about it, that villains make a lot of an impression on you.
Well, what about the evil queen from Once Upon a Time? Everybody watched that Sunday night show.
Right.
And it was pretty good. I thought they did a really nice job on that.
I thought they changed the fairy tales just enough to make it interesting.
Make it modern.
Right. And what they did is and actually, to be honest, I know I say I'm a contrarian. I kind of like the evil queen much better than I like Snow White.
She had a lot of personality.
I didn't like Snow White at all. I thought she was terrible.
And you felt where her evil came from, that it came from heartache and grief.
Hurt, yes.
And being hurt.
Right.
So, and it made sense. And she did a great job. I think that.
They really showed it. She also played the same actress who was really, really good in an episode of or a season of
what was that show?
The Lincoln Lawyer.
The Lincoln Lawyer.
She was in The Lincoln Lawyer.
She was good on that.
So what happened was they gave her a role and she was excellent and she really did a real good job. And then she came back in the next season to testify, which was in a pivotal moment. But they did a good thing of slow. That's an example of them turning a villain into almost sort of an anti-hero because you kind of root for her. You know, because in that show, she fell in love with Robin Hood and all this stuff. So it was kind of like, you sort of liked her. You know, her sister was the Wicked Witch of the West who really hated her. And you started to root for her a little, So that's what I like when they reverse expectations a little. And it's not just, it's the evil queen, she's terrible. No, she's...
And she also tried to redeem herself.
Right.
So that happened too.
And that happened with the Sheriff of Nottingham and the Robin Hood, the very good version of Robin Hood we would just watch. If you have a chance to watch it, it's really good with Sean Bean. Sean Bean is the guy that was in Game of Thrones, played Ned Stark. He always gets these roles. He's like Liam Neeson. The problem is we don't have any manly actors anymore. They're all old. So Sean Bean gets all of these roles. But in Nottingham, they're trying to show his conflict, how he's a decent guy. He doesn't want to, step on the Saxons, but he has to. And then he gets really mean. He does bad things. And they've done that in the Sheriff of Nottingham, all the Robin Hood stories. If you happen to see a very good movie with Sean Connery called with Maid Marian, with the very beautiful, what's her name, Audrey Hepburn. She plays Maid Marian. And
I'm hearing Squeeze in my head.
The guy, Robert Shaw, the guy from Jaws, plays the Sheriff of Nottingham, and he's like cheeky. He's like, he's saying, you're the hero, huh? Yeah, well, I don't really care. I'm Sheriff of Nottingham.
There were no dragons. There was no magic. He was just using his authority.
Well, yeah, he had a job to do, and he was trying to do it. And, people don't realize that you have a job, and sometimes you have to do tough things.
And corruption and abuse of power.
Right.
Because all of that happened in that show.
Yes, but that was what the world was. That's what the world is today. It's the same. No different. It's just...
They're just cleaner.
They cover it up more. It's not bags. It's not bags of gold. It's cryptocurrency. Is how they do it. It's not as messy as it used to be.
So let me ask you a question. Which is worse, a villain who enjoys being evil, or a villain who honestly believes they're right?
Well, it's more entertaining if it's a villain who likes being a villain. That's pretty entertaining usually. But you can only live with it for so long, and then it's like, okay, I don't want to watch this anymore. Now, a villain who thinks they're right and is crazy, that also it can be fun. But I don't know. Can you watch that too?
Moriarty, he likes the game.
Right. And Moriarty just wants to prove he's smarter than Sherlock Holmes. Because Sherlock Holmes was celebrated as the smartest man around. And he said, well, I'm smarter, and let me show you how. And he was very smart, Moriarty. But sometimes he would be smarter if no one ever knew who he was. I'll give you an example of the mafia, right? In the mafia, Carlo Gambino was probably the most powerful mafia boss ever, okay? Even more than Lucky Luciano and those other guys. But John Gotti came along and he said, everybody's going to know who I am, and I'm going to strut around in my suits, and that put a target on his back. The old timers, they didn't want that. They wanted to be under the radar, and that's what villains do. Sometimes, does a villain want to be under the radar, or does he want everybody to know who he is? That makes it interesting, right?
Well, let's talk about heroes for a little bit.
Right.
And who would be, let's see, like heroes that we could still believe in?
Well, heroes are interesting because heroes, is it because of who they are or what they do?
I mean, ones that we root for, that we admire, that we hope would show up if something went wrong.
Right, and they can be controversial. Like, I'll give you a good example. Captain Kirk is controversial now. He wasn't back in the day, but I think he's a little controversial now.
Right. Well, if we were saying if you were in trouble, would you want him to show up to help?
Right. I mean, you know, because the way he acted in the 60s, I guess, doesn't fly today, you know, because Captain Kirk banged every woman on the ship and every alien baby ever saw
But
in
he
a green
wasn't
bikini.
perfect. He was very impulsive.
Right, but he had the values of the 60s.
So all right. So
when it was
you
made.
know when they say if you're holding on to two people, but you got to let one go.
Right.
If the other one was some hot chick, he was letting you go.
Right.
So that
I'll see you.
can't
I'll see you,
depend on
Spock.
him.
Sorry.
You're going out to space.
Yes, I'm linked to this
You're
woman
gonna be space.
and not by the Vulcan death grip. I'm sorry. It's a different link. But what happens is Captain Kirk, he's a hero, and
I mean, he always tried to do what he thought was the right thing to do.
yes, but he had one thing that's very true about heroes, but not always portrayed, and that's their arrogance. And Captain Kirk is basically arrogant about everything, and when he goes and he doesn't know what's going on, he would go, and then Spock would try and rein him in, or Bones would give him a human response. But he said, "No, we're just going to blow up this thing or whatever." He just never cared. He just knew better than everybody else.
Right.
Now, what would probably happen in that case is he would make a mistake and blow up the ship, and that would be the end of it.
Right.
But that couldn't happen because you have an episode the next week, right? But Captain Kirk is an example of a hero. Now, I'll give you another. Lisa, here's another. Give me another one that's not so physical.
Who I love?
Who do you love?
Columbo.
Right.
I feel like he's the most loved television detective ever created.
One of them for sure.
I think so. He didn't have to fight. He didn't fight you. There were no car chases.
Well,
It was just intelligence. It was one eye and a hat.
he was great. He's not the greatest. My personal favorite is Frank Cannon because he was so fat and he couldn't get out from behind the steering wheel. So I identified with Frank Cannon. I'm sorry.
I just feel like Columbo had intelligence. He was going to figure it out. Like I could see, like when he said something about the light bulb, when she changed the light bulb to have it out, that there was a fingerprint on the light bulb, but it was the dust that wasn't on the light bulb that he figured out. I remember that episode.
Right.
And I just loved his performance, the way he spoke, the way he carried himself, the raincoat, the cigar, the just one more thing. I loved it. Now, to this day, if somebody's like questioning me, and I'm like, what are you, Columbo? Like, because Columbo was relentless until he got the information. He just kept popping up and coming and asking questions, and
I think you
just one more thing.
Right. I think you just love Columbo because he reminds you of your mother.
Yes. He just likes to question me.
Yeah. So Columbo is
and what were the other people doing that he was questioning? They were like cleaning out a drawer. They were doing paperwork. They were doing something.
right.
And going about their day, and he just followed them around the room asking questions.
It was very, in retrospect, now when I watch it, it's very contrived. And exactly, some of the people if they were not, like when he did...
But you see it on today's TV.
Oh, yeah, they copy
when the
him.
detective is questioning someone, the person doesn't like sit down and give their full attention to the detective if they're in their own space, not if they're in the room, the interrogation room. If they're in their own space, they're walking around... I'm too busy for you. I'm not going to sit down and talk to you. I have to still move around and do things.
And that's an issue with shows and things that, all of a sudden they ask questions and a person just comes out and tells the story. In the British shows, it's interesting. When they put the people in the box and they start questioning them, what a lot of them do is they just say, no comment.
And their lawyer doesn't say a word ever.
Right, ever.
Never.
And they just keep going at him until finally they blurt out what they did, which is ridiculous. Columbo would be over in the first 5 minutes if Columbo says, one more thing. And he says, one more thing, lawyer.
Right.
And that's the end of it, And Landman, there was a particular case.
Well, Elspeth does the same thing.
Yes. Well, Elspeth, if you could say, but...
She does the same thing where she comes back and she does the just one more thing, just like Columbo.
Right. So if you were of a question...
she plays the quirky so people don't think she's intelligent.
Right. And if they bring you and question you and keep you in a room for 24 hours and keep questioning you, eventually you could break down. That's totally possible. But Columbo was such like dancing like a ballerina with all these questions. And sure, sometimes like Jack Cassidy thought he could outsmart him. And that's what a lot of them do. They think that they're smarter than the cops. And that happens like in Elspeth and all of them.
Right. It's the same thing.
They think that they're smarter so they can give an explanation or explain something away. When if you're really smart, you just don't say anything. You say, I am not speaking to you. I don't have to speak to you.
They usually say something where her eyes light up.
Right.
And she's like, oh, let me research
It's like, speak to my lawyer. I don't have to, I don't want to give you, I'm not giving you any information.
Then it wouldn't be a show.
Yes, it wouldn't be a show. Correct.
Because there wouldn't be any of that. It would be very boring.
That would mean that the detective would actually have to do work instead of just talking, you know. They don't really show what real detectives do. Occasionally they do. Bosch actually is good at that because they show him actually doing stuff and going through looking for people and, you know, ticking off the people that he's looking for and people helping him find out what's going on, footwork. You know,
he's not flashy and he's relentless.
Right.
And he has integrity. I mean, Bosch is a great show.
Yes. Also, Michael Connelly, a series of books that they decided to make. Now, here's a series of books that they made that isn't exactly having any concept of reality, okay? And that's Colter Shore and Tracker.
Now, I would want him to find me if I was lost.
Yes.
Because he would find me.
Yes, he's a very good-looking guy. There's no doubt about that.
But he would find me.
Yes.
He always says, I'll find him.
And you know what he finds?
A check at the end.
That too, but what he also finds is he finds whenever he goes into a case. You ever notice this? There's a couple of things I noticed. One thing I noticed about Tracker, there's always a female detective in charge of the case. 9 times out of 10, there's always a female attractive female detective or a detective, and they're going, "Ooh, this guy's the detective. Oh, maybe I'll talk to him." You know, it's when we're watching a show right now, okay, with the girl from that show that we like. What's the name of it? It's called Maximum something on.
Oh, the one from She Was All the People. Wait, this is we're gonna play a game now, right? We have to figure it out. Yeah. She played like 7 different personalities. They're actually 7 different people. Wasn't it 7 or 5? I don't remember. She played. First we eat, then we fight. That was one personality. Right. Then she was married and had a baby as another one. She was clones. Yes. They were all clones, right? They were clones
she was also She-Hulk.
Yeah, she
as
was
well.
She-Hulk. Yep.
And I'm going to think of who she was immediately.
Let's keep thinking. Tick, tick, tick. People are waiting. Anybody guessing who we're talking
Come
about?
on. You know, well, anyway.
It's a new show on Apple
Tatiana something is her name.
Yes.
So anyway, I forgot exactly what we were talking about.
The show that we're watching with
Oh,
her.
yeah. So she's in a show.
Isn't it on Apple?
Right. And this detective, the point I was trying to make is the woman detective that she's talking to looks like what a real detective looks like. She's an older woman. She dresses very plainly. She's a gambler. And she does the...
Oh, yeah. They did a great job. They casted a great person for that part.
The 2 detectives and her partner.
She was sitting eating the cashews. She was just so real.
Right.
Very real and believable.
It's what cops look like in New York City. And her partner the same way. They're not beautiful people. They're not like well manicured. They're just normal, regular people. And they did a great job with that detective. Okay. As opposed to Tracker.
Guaranteed Pleasure or something?
What?
I can't. She had the cam boy. I can't think of
Maximum Pleasure, I think it's called.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's a pretty good show.
Good.
It's a pretty cool show.
And she does a good job.
But what they did in that, they showed really good ideas of what a real detective is like and how they act. And I thought it was very well done. But she...
Okay. Stop. Give it up. Give it up. He's still
it's called
looking.
Okay, be quiet, please. It's called Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed. Okay.
It's on Apple TV.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a very good show with Tatiana Maslany. Okay.
She's good.
Okay. So anyway,
offer
that is the unbelievability of some of these TV shows, and Tracker is unbelievable. But
I would want you to hire him to find me.
Okay.
You know, something happens.
Well, there's a new movie coming out, by the way, that just came out, which is pretty interesting. I always wanted to write about this story.
Are we off Colter?
Yeah, we're off Colter right now.
All right, he's a nice guy.
Well, you said you want him to find you, right?
Yeah.
And they had a story. They have a movie that's just coming out now, and it's about the famous story of the civil rights workers in the South, and they couldn't find them. So what did they do? The FBI couldn't. They did good, goody two-shoe guys couldn't do it, so they went and got a mafia guy from Brooklyn. Okay, Greg Scarpa, and they said to him, he was an informer, but he was like a murderer. He murdered like 50 guys, and they said to him, you're going to go down south and you're going to go find him. And he beats the crap out of all these Southern guys until he finds out what happened to the civil rights workers. That's a new movie that just came out with Marky Mark.
We have to watch that.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. And tells that story. It's very interesting. But if I wanted to find you, Lisa, and you're missing, that's the guy I would get.
Okay. Just as long as you find me.
Coulter Shaw is not the guy I would get. Now,
well, he's, fake.
Yes. Like Reacher, right?
Oh, Jack Reacher.
Right. So now,
modern cowboy.
Now he's a hero, right? And he is a modern cowboy. He's the guy that comes into town.
Mm-hmm.
He solves all the problems, and then he walks into the sunset, right?
Yes.
And he goes to find
he walks into the sunset like the Hulk.
Right. Without the Hulk music, though.
Exactly.
He walks out into sunset to find a Goodwill where they immediately have clothes that will fit him, even though he has a size 50 neck.
I don't understand how he finds the clothes.
If he was in Hawaii, I'd believe it, but nowhere else.
But all over any country, you can't. I'm sorry.
So
that's not how it works.
Okay, so we're just going to quickly jump over some of the other heroes we listed, like Harry Bosch.
Well, we already talked about Harry
Matt
Bosch.
Dillon from Gunsmoke. Of course, I had to throw a West in.
We have to talk about Gunsmoke. That's your favorite.
Well, no, just Matt Dillon was, he was the epitome of the upright lawman. And they had to live by what it was like in the 60s and 70s and the 50s, actually the 50s and 60s when they made it. So it was very moral. Like Miss Kitty, she was a saloon owner.
They had responsibilities.
She was a saloon owner. That's what she wasn't in real life, actually. If you want to know who Miss Kitty was, watch Deadwood, and you'll figure it out.
Okay.
That's but then,
homework assignment.
Steve McGarrett, Hawaii Five-0, the old Hawaii Five-0. Steve McGarrett is the classic, especially Jack Lord, the original Steve McGarrett. They kind of messed it up on the new one. In the old one, he was like this really square-jawed, tough guy that
determined.
He never gave an inch.
The classic action hero, man.
Yes, but that was from the 60s, so, it has a certain way that they did it. They didn't mess around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just put this one down just to mess with you. I would say Mary Beth Lacey, not Cagney. Cagney wasn't a hero. Lacey was the hero.
Whose phone is that?
It's not mine.
Are you kidding? It's not mine.
There you go. Showed you right there, okay?
It's live.
Yes.
We taped this live. There's no editing.
That wasn't Lisa's phone. Okay. So then quickly jump over these guys like Hondo from SWAT. He's the ultimate hero, and it's, I didn't like SWAT that much.
I want to go back to the female.
Well, we're going to get to them now.
No, we were talking about Cagney and Lacey, and we were saying Mary Beth Lacey, right?
Right. Well, she was a
working mother. She had a job. And she also had to take care of her family.
And she wasn't glamorous. She was a normal-looking person, and Cagney was more the glamour girl.
She was a female hero before female action heroes became common.
Now, I would have liked if they would have kept with the original cast, because you know who was originally Cagney?
No.
Loretta Swit from MASH.
Oh.
I think she would have been a much better Cagney, okay? But the idea behind Cagney, she was the daughter of a cop, and she was in with the Irish mafia, the cops, and all like that. That was the original idea. And when they make a team, they usually have two different types of people, like on, and Lethal Weapon or whatever. That's how they match them up.
Well, I feel like audiences connected to her humanity.
Yeah, I think so. She was very believable in what she did because she was a mom, and she looked from a mom's perspective, which is really good, I think, when you have a detective.
Especially a working mom.
I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the best detectives because they have to work with their kids and be a detective and see what they're doing.
Know when they're lying. Who did this? Not me. I don't know.
They know when their daughters are sneaking out to Friends Field to smoke cigarettes with Teresa, the detective story.
They can detect. Me up. You're throwing me out there.
They detect the bad things,
Mm-hmm. Moving on.
Okay. Hondo, didn't like him. He was ridiculous. He
was a modern hero.
Yes, I guess.
He did show leadership with his team.
Yeah, but he never lost. He hung from a...
Yeah, he never lost.
He hung from his arm from a helicopter and shot up a whole place and never got hit by a bullet.
It was unbelievable.
Yes, it's not.
My suspension of belief was way up there.
Basically, I went to the bathroom a lot while he did that stuff, basically. Now, I guess we're ignoring the women heroes. There's plenty of women heroes.
Yes, there is.
Like, for instance, your favorite.
Sigourney Weaver?
From Alien.
Yes. I remember seeing that
Ellen
in the movie
Ripley.
theater, and I was sitting, I think, back in the day when you went to the movies, if all the seats were filled and you weren't going to just fill one seat here and one seat here. If you went with your friend, I remember I went with my friend Suzanne to see it. We sat on the steps on the side and watched it.
Right.
And it was scary. When that triple jaw came out, scary.
And the part where she's there and the alien's head comes down right in her face, any woman would think of a really bad first date. So they can empathize with that, right?
But she had, there was survival versus bravery. I just feel like she was smart, she was resourceful, and I love that. And, I feel like she changed the action movies.
Well, she
changed it.
She was a woman action hero, which is great that you want to see, but she was a believable one.
Yes.
They do have a lot of them that are not believable. Like my pet peeve, Jessica Chastain, who weighs 90 pounds but kicks the crap out of 250-pound German mercenaries in lots. But there is a woman who's very believable, and that's in the Taylor Sheridan show that we like, right?
Lioness?
Yes. Joe McNamara, and it's very well done. And
Again,
she's physical, but
hero.
she's physical in a way that works because mainly she's shooting people. She's not like getting in fisticuffs normally. That's very believable.
And she's flawed. So she's strong, but she's also flawed.
Right.
And they try to balance these impossible responsibilities
and
her family versus her, duty versus her family.
Right.
That's a big conflict for her.
And they have a female character in that show, actually, that's very good.
Oh, yeah.
And she's a very troubled.
There's a few other ones.
Yes, but they have one that's very troubled, and she has a troubled background, and she's very violent. And you can see someone who, as we see her progress in the story, she's like a shooter. She kills people all the time, and they get her in specifically things because she has that in her. Now, who is that? That's a sociopath. That's a serial killer, basically. Serial killers are not just the guys that, take trophies and bury people in the field. Serial killers can be in a lot of different occupations. They could be, a mafia hitman. They're basically serial killers. They kill 50 people. They don't think not twice. Serial killers.
They're not having nightmares.
Right. They walk through and they don't care, like the guy I just mentioned, Greg Scarpa.
Unless they have Alzheimer's.
Right.
They're forgetting who they are.
Right. But I mean, yes.
Other show with the hitman.
Yes, that's a new one and that show is also ridiculous because the guy is ridiculously good looking. So he's like, and he's got $1,000 suits or $5,000 suits and and a Porsche and all of this stuff. And it's like, I don't know. But a cerebral one that we like, Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote.
Yes, of course.
She's a hero, obviously, and she's like very smart.
She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't a police officer.
Yes, she doesn't
She was a writer.
Right. She doesn't do karate chops.
A mystery writer.
She's got the writing chops, not the karate chops, if you want to put it that way. Okay.
So that was like her connection between observing and storytelling.
Right.
So I thought that was really nice.
Okay.
Now let's go back a little way. Let's play the music in your head. I'm hearing the music in my head right now.
The music is out there somewhere. It's out there.
X-Files. You can hear the music in the background. Dana Scully.
Yes. She's a female hero, obviously, and
with science, with reasoning, with intelligence, right? And she inspired a generation of women.
Right, and she's the voice of reason in that group because Mulder was the visionary who believed in all of this stuff, and she was the one that tried to bring him back to Earth and say, this
science
is nonsense.
Versus belief.
Right, it's not real, and you're crazy and all of that kind of stuff. So she was the voice of reason, and she's a reasonable hero, which reasonable heroes aren't always popular.
Right.
Because people are saying, well, why would I want to see a guy that just busts things up sometimes, or you want someone who goes over and above. You don't want, the guy that's sitting there thinking necessarily. You know what I mean?
Oh, now, of course, I have to talk about Olivia Benson. I just saw her running across the court.
From the Knick game.
Jumping up and down, hugging bodyguards.
Yes, and I could say I detect that's the first time you've been to a Knick game, but never mind. You know.
But she's Olivia Benson. She's,
Law and Order SUV.
right. I mean, she represents having compassion,
Is it
justice,
SUV or
resilience.
SVU? It's SVU. I always call it SUV.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
I wasn't even paying attention.
They should do a show like that where she looks at different cars every week.
I mean, she just still remains beloved because of her heroism and her compassion.
I know. Lisa likes her. I think she's ridiculous, and I hate her because I think
Her
it's.
character is still going because people love her.
Well, they buy in. They
That's
buy
it.
in. They buy
They
into
love
it.
it.
Yes, I
You
understand
might
that.
not like it. Other people
She's
are loving it.
she's
still there.
sanctimonious, and she's not. I hate that show, and I think it's ridiculous. But be that as it may, let's move on because I don't want to get caught in the cul-de-sac with Jim ranting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's a lot of shows that are on TV that for 30 years that we never looked at, like Grey's Anatomy.
And
Right.
we just never got into it.
We never
Now
watched
I'm not
it
doing
ever.
20 seasons.
Yes.
I don't have that time.
Sometimes when we hit on a show and we say, "Oh, look, there's 4 seasons. This is cool. We could see a lot of good stuff." Like Ted Lasso, right? We'd put on
Yes.
Ted Lasso and said, "Oh, there's 3 seasons. This is great," and we loved it, and we watched every one. We like binged,
Mm.
Now there was another show we watched last night, right? Steel Magnolias or not Steel Magnolias? Something Magnolias,
Oh, sweet.
Sweet Magnolias or something.
But we have to watch last season.
Right. So they jump
'Cause
right
it's been
in.
so long.
They jump right in and they assume you know all of the ins and
They
outs of
didn't
the
give
story.
us
Now-
last year's scene
Right.
on Sweet Magnolias.
And it's on Netflix, so maybe they figure you're going to binge it, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to remember everything. I don't remember everything. There had to be last time this happened.
I know.
I kind of sort of remember some of it, but I don't remember all the nuances of it.
We'd have to go back. I don't know if I want to invest in that right now.
I do not.
Okay.
So now we're going to ask, Lisa's going to ask a question that she asked me, and I thought it was interesting.
Yes. Who would you want to show up if you were in trouble?
Right. Who's the person that's going to be there?
Now, I have a bunch of them here, like that we just talked. We talked about Captain Kirk, Columbo, Reacher, Bosch, Matt Dillon, McGarrett, Lacey, Hondo, Ripley, Jessica Fletcher, Joe McNamara, Dana Scully, Olivia Benson. Like, who would you want to show up for you if you were in trouble?
Okay, so now Lisa always accuses me of this, is that I always come out with something that had nothing to do with what we talked about before. Okay? And
Here we go. It's just like the restaurant. What are you going to order? I'm going to get this. And then
she orders it.
And then I order it because I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. And then he orders something completely different.
Okay, so all these are great heroes. Some of them are great heroes, some not so much. But you know the guy that I would hire? And I wouldn't get Liam Neeson because he's overdone. And he's also 90 years old, so I think he should retire. But you know who I get? Lucas McCain. You know who Lucas McCain was? He was the rifleman. Okay,
Oh,
and he used to
why
come.
I didn't know what you were talking about. I
From
knew
the 60s.
it was going to be something.
And what was
but I
great
had
about
no idea.
Lucas McCain, in half an hour, he killed everybody that did something bad.
Was it a Yale rifle? A nail? What wasn't it?
a nail gun? No.
No. What's that famous rifle that everybody goes back in time and they always make it?
The Winchester rifle? No, the Spencer rifle?
No. It had
The Ferguson rifle?
It had one syllable. We just watched it on Outlander.
Yeah, that's the Ferguson rifle.
That's not one syllable.
Well, yes, because you misremembered.
Right.
No, he had the Winchester with the special modification and
Ferguson is the one everybody that goes back in time
makes. Yes.
makes. Okay.
So
Was it a Ferguson?
no, it was not. It was.
So he had to put. What kind of rifle was it?
Well, it was a Winchester, but it was also had a chamber with a lot of bullets in it.
Oh.
And what's funny about westerns, especially from
I'm thinking, all right, so the 60s, they didn't have to put the powder in
exactly
separately.
right. So in the westerns of the day, the 6-shooters became a 67 shooter because they kept shooting and they never ran out of bullets and they never changed them.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucas McCain had it was funny. It was a great show. I don't want to go into it because Lisa's eyes are rolling back in her head.
Already.
But if I had to pick somebody to come save me, I would pick Lucas McCain because I know he would just shoot everybody. But continue.
All right.
He's the spiritual father of Tracker.
So he's the one that you hope walks through the door. If you're in trouble, he's going to kick the door open. You want to see the rifle
Lucas McCain. Okay, that's who would you pick, Lisa? Columbo? We'll knock on the door.
No.
One more thing.
No. No. If I'm
do you have
really-
Lisa in there?
I want like Reacher. I want the 6'7" guy to come help me. Okay. I don't need a think tank. I just want someone that's going to rescue me and drag me out of wherever I am.
That's a very reasonable choice. You know.
Okay.
We wouldn't pick Jessica Fletcher or Columbo or a more cerebral
I want someone
person.
super strong.
Yeah, you want somebody who's gonna, kick ass and take names and not worry about it. Right.
And throw me over his shoulder and rescue me.
Right.
There we go.
So now we come to that point in the show, which is the third type of person. And who's that, Lisa?
The anti-hero.
You notice there's never an anti-villain?
Yeah.
Because an anti-villain is a hero, I guess.
Yeah.
But an anti-hero is a guy who's like got bad tendencies. Maybe he's a sociopath. Maybe he's a criminal. Maybe he's breaks all the rules. He's a cop that's dirty, whatever. Mm-hmm. Or a motorcycle gang leader. But you root for him because he's the hero of the show, and he has a family. He loves his family.
He's complicated.
He's different, So they build up that person, and they say, oh, you got to root for this person.
Or you find yourself rooting for them when you know they're the bad guy.
Right. How could you root for the bad guy? Mm-hmm. Right. So, like Vic Mackey was a famous one from The Shield. Okay. And he was probably the worst, actually. I mean, there were other people. He was
pretty bad.
There's other people he can point to, but Vic Mackey, he ended up killing one of his best guys.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And he killed the guy. He got rid of.
He was so corrupt while pretending to be a good guy.
Right. And yes, but he actually, what he did was he was so, the idea of a tough cop, he was the toughest of the tough. And it was a character that pushed against him, a couple of them, two detectives that were always trying to find a way to get him arrested.
He was lying. He was framing people.
But what I liked about him, it was no nonsense. Like he would just bust the guy's chops, the Dutch boy, the detective that was against him, and just mock him unmercifully and do nasty stuff to him. That's how those guys are. They're not nice and calm and clean and collected like sometimes they show the anti-hero. No. Another guy like that, who's like that also, Lisa, that we remember. Tony Soprano.
Yeah, Tony Soprano's like that. You find yourself rooting for him, but he's a murderer. He's a criminal. He's an adulterer. He's a manipulator. Why are we rooting for him? But millions of viewers rooted for him.
Right. Every week they wanted to see, they liked all the stuff that Tony did.
Even they liked his anxiety.
Well, they liked his story, and it's a mob
troubles,
story.
The way he dealt with his mother. We liked the vulnerability.
Right. He struggled. He wasn't like Reacher, who didn't struggle, right? Or some of these guys like Tracker. And they try to build in a little bit of ambiguity in them, but it's not really like Tony Soprano's ambiguity.
Well, he can murder someone in one scene, and then he's worrying about his daughter in the next scene.
Right. But what's interesting about The Sopranos, basically everybody dies in that. The only one who survived was Paulie Walnuts.
Right.
And he was a survivor, and he was went with the flow.
I want to ask you a question. I'm curious about this. At what point did where did it become impossible for you to defend Tony?
Impossible? It's never impossible.
Was there a point that Tony became impossible for you to defend?
There wasn't anything that he ever did that I could not defend. Okay? Because he never really did anything to anyone who didn't really deserve it, or wasn't wrong. He didn't go out and rob people or no lady in the street, He only did, you can't cheat an honest man. So for instance, they had the guys that had the hotel in early season, right? And the one guy went to him and wanted to get his son-in-law, his daughter, a get, which in the Jewish religion means that allows you to have a divorce. So he went to the mob guy, and the mob guy beat the crap out of they were beating the crap out of the guy that didn't want to give the get, right? So they're honest, they're religious people, but they wanted something wrong. You know what I mean? Like they were wrong in what they did. Or like the garbage guys that Tony dealt with. They were in with the corruption because they got the roots. So they signed on to the mob. Growing up, that happened to me. I had the chance to go into the union and into doing things, but it was pretty corrupt. And there were guys that worked and weren't corrupt. A lot of them, the majority. But there were also guys that weren't. And even in bars and restaurants the same way. There was bad money around, So I had a couple of instances where guys opened up a bar. And I looked around and I said, why is this bar full and the one across the street not full?
Mm-hmm.
And I went a couple of times, and Lisa might even remember, it was this place on Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn that was empty, and it was packed.
Yep.
So we said, how could that be full? And I turned to her and I said, it's simple. It's drugs. They're selling drugs. I could tell. I could see it.
It's a front for something.
Right. So, but Tony Soprano only went after people that were in the wrong. He didn't really go after anybody that was a civilian that wasn't. He didn't really victimize anybody. Now, he did throw his weight around when he wanted something, and he might have pushed guys around like the doctor, his doctor. He wanted stuff from them. And I think Carmela wanted a letter for her daughter, and they might have pushed them a little, but nothing that serious compared to what they did show some of it, but like throughout, I don't want to go into all the details, like the pork store guy, they show Tony Soprano's father cutting off his finger because he owed money from gambling debts. That's how they got into you. They got their hooks into you because you wanted something from them.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's a couple of other ones that we have.
Well, like
here.
another anti-hero.
We could get off of Tony.
Yes, one anti-hero is very famous now. There's a couple of shows about him. There's another one coming up, and that's John Dutton from Yellowstone.
Yes, 100%.
Now, maybe
he believed in protecting his family, and that his justification for everything, for his land, and he used his power ruthlessly. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the problem with John Dutton, and a lot of people would say, why do you call him an anti-hero? He's a hero. He's not an anti-hero. No, because Kevin Costner was the star, and he had a little bit of control. He put a veneer of heroism over it, right? And he wasn't showing what he really was. Okay, they showed it in little bits here and there, but they didn't really show that who he was. He was just as much a monster as Tony Soprano or Vic Mackey. He was. And he did horrible things. Okay, and he got away with it. He subverted politics to become governor to get what he wanted. He had his son run the trail
he
detectives or whatever.
His children.
He used his children. He was a terrible, terrible person. But what movie stars do when they come in, they don't want to look that bad. So all of a sudden, there's a veneer of respectability on him that's not deserved. Now the other guy, Rip Wheeler, is different. He's more.
So if you don't remember he's also from Yellowstone. He's the one that marries the daughter.
Right. So Rip Wheeler doesn't do any of that nonsense. He's who he is, and there's no varnish on him. He loves his wife, Beth. He always loved her. Fiercely
loyal.
And they're on a current show, Dutton Ranch, which is an excellent show, and it's uncompromising.
He'll do terrible things for people he loves.
Right.
Anything. There's no line.
Right, but he's obviously a sociopath for sure.
Yes.
But they made him. He's the hero of the show. Okay, and he's hooked up with Beth, who's also a sociopath in another way. She's a little bit more flamboyant, so she does crazy stuff. Like she beat up the girl on the dance floor, and she killed her brother and all kinds of stuff.
She's ruthless.
She's crazy. So she's off the hook. Of course, her father, John Dutton, made her that way.
Yes.
Okay.
She's a product of her father.
But she's an example of an anti-hero. So in this show, you have two anti-heroes together.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. And you see them walking with the fire behind them.
It's tough when you have a show with an anti-hero. You have to put somebody worse.
It depends on the episode. Some episodes she comes off as the hero, some the villain.
Well, they're trying in this new show. They're trying to make her a little bit less of a crazy person. So she's not acting out the way she is. She saves her horse and all this stuff.
She is the female equivalent of Tony Soprano.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think she is.
People adore her. They fear her. They quote her, right? And depending on the scene, she's either the hero or the villain.
Right.
But she's ruthless.
Right, but she's
vindictive.
But basically, to go back...
And she's got a scar on her face.
Right, so to go back to the idea of an anti-hero, it's a bad person who we root for. So now in the show, we're rooting for the two anti-heroes, Rip Wheeler and Beth Dutton. We hope that they survive.
Because now, look what they're up against. Another villain.
Yes.
So they're the villains, the anti-hero, going against the villain now, which is, what's her name?
Annette Bening.
Yes.
Yes. Well, how could you not hate, the wife of that famous actor guy whose name escapes me?
You're really off today.
Warren Beatty.
But she loves playing that part. I know
Yes.
she loves
Well,
it.
yeah, because she likes the idea of being a villainess, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But that show, what happens in a lot of these shows, when you have a hero that's so competent, and then you have to bring somebody, and he's an anti-hero, actually. You have to bring somebody that's worse so you can root for the anti-hero, because the guy you're against, like, not to go back to The Sopranos all the time, but, you know, when Ralph Cifaretto was the guy that Tony had a big beef with through a couple of seasons, ends up killing. But he kills the horse, he kills the stripper at the club, he does horrible stuff. And when you compare him to Tony, he's not so bad. You know, you're saying, you know, Tony's not so bad compared to this guy.
Well, there's a couple more that we want to check off for the
Quickly.
anti-hero. We have Jax Teller.
Yeah, Jax Teller from the
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. And they built him up, but he was just basically the worst. He lets his best friend get murdered in prison.
You know, he wants to change the club. He wants to make it better. He wants to protect his family.
But he's horrible. He's a horrible person. And his mother is also an anti-hero, Gemma Teller, right?
Yes.
So she's like...
Kate Weiler was... I'm sorry. What's her real... Gemma
Taylor is the name of the actress. Katie Segal is the name of the actress,
Katie Segal,
right?
That's right.
Gem Teller is the name of the character.
She was a very powerful anti-hero.
Right. And she was like, you know, he was always going against her and in the show. So it was good.
Well, she's family, loyalty, protection. I mean, that's what she was thinking about. Her grandchild, the club, Jax. Everything was about Jax. And that, you know, she acts out of fear.
Right.
And fear of losing control, fear of losing her family, fear of becoming irrelevant.
Right. Now, I'm going to give you a little gentle anti-hero, a little gentler, but really terrible, in a show that we really enjoyed, and that's Bertha Russell in The Gilded Age.
Yes, very true.
Now, the thing I loved about Bertha Russell was she eventually opened up a store in Brooklyn called Bertha's. When we got married, we got a lot
Bertha's on 18th Avenue.
We got a lot of stuff from her. But they were basically the story of the Vanderbilts. And they, I believe it was the Vanderbilts.
Crystal and Lennox dishes. And that was Bertha's.
I think they were showing the story of the Vanderbilts. And it tracks with her daughter marrying an English guy.
She's not a hero. She's
an anti-hero.
Determined to open the doors for society.
She wants what she wants.
Slammed on her.
She wants what she wants, and she uses people, and she manipulates people.
She's ambitious.
Right.
But she's relentless.
Yes. So she's really, I think, really an anti-hero. And
she's manipulative, too.
Oh,
Look
very
what she
much
did
so.
to her daughter.
Yes, very much so. But that's like...
And she's doing everything for her family.
Right.
But she will steamroll anyone in her way.
Yeah. So what happens is, we went almost the whole show, and we were just describing heroes and villains and enjoying who they are and talking about what they do and what they think. And we have like another 20 pages we could get through. Maybe we have to do a part 2 about it.
Maybe.
Because we want to talk about, you know, the book, obviously, which I have neglected to mention, The Brooklyn Witch, The Battle for Brooklyn, which is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Or go to thebrooklynwitch.com.
Yes.
And you have your choice there.
And you can
get a signed copy, or you could buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. It's
yes.
all listed.
But if you get it from us, you'll get a signed copy,
and some
personalized.
fun extra stuff.
And extras, yes. But in the book, Lisa comes up with a hero. Her hero is obviously Speranza O'Rourke, the Brooklyn Witch.
Yes.
And there are other heroic characters like Ginny and her husband Sean, okay? But then there are villains like Alejandro, the warlock, and good people like Vesna, the member of the council who stands against Alejandro. But her grandmothers are both a little enigmatic. They're a little anti-hero. Are they all heroes or not? They're not really heroes and not villains.
Really heroes.
Well, they're like anti-heroes. They're like they do things differently, and you don't necessarily you root for them, but they're not like true, you know, Dudley Do-Right heroes that are like perfect.
Right.
You know, you don't want that. You don't have that in the book.
I feel like, listen, Nona could be like Gemma.
Yes,
she's worried about her family.
Right.
Everything's about her family, but she does bad things.
Yes. And she does bad things, and she lies, and she manipulates. She lies by omission, that tells things out. So a lot of that stuff is interesting, and hopefully we didn't give it too much away. But when you read the book, hopefully you will, you'll see that a lot of the mix of heroes and villains goes on.
Otherwise, it would be boring.
Right.
There has to be conflict. There has to be villains.
Right. You have to have an antagonist and a protagonist.
And it depends on the arc that you want to take them on.
Right. Exactly. And Lisa did a superb job in doing that, and I think you guys will really enjoy it if you read it.
Book 2 is so amazing.
Yes, we're right in the middle of book 2 now, and it's pretty good.
I'm so excited.
And all I want to say is, when I think of a hero, Lisa, just quickly, what do you think of a hero? What do you think is a hero? Well, you could say like a very smart person, a very strong person, right?
Someone who leads with their heart is the first thing that I think of.
Right.
Because I believe that if you're kind and you do everything with your heart, I mean, chances are that you can't be that bad.
Right.
And you'll make good decisions.
Perfect.
You know, you might make mistakes.
Right.
Because sometimes when you lead with your heart, it doesn't take you, you know, it's not, what could I say? What's the word I'm looking for? Help.
What do you mean? You make...
Well, sometimes you make decisions based on your heart.
Right.
And, you know, logically, it's not right.
Right. You take a leap of faith and you think, I want to do this.
I live a lot like that. I do take leaps of faith.
Yes, exactly. Nothing wrong with that. You know, when I think of a hero, you know what I think of? Gabagool, provolone, and vinegar peppers. That's what I think of when I think of a hero.
Of course you went back to food. Let me warn you now. If you thought book 1 had food in it, I'm crying as I'm writing book 2.
Yeah, last night we were writing, and Lisa said, "Oh, I want pizza."
I can't take it anymore. I put it in the book. Why did I had texted a friend of mine, I'm going to kill someone if I don't get an S cookie.
Right, exactly. Right.
Giovanna, if you're listening, that was you.
So what happens is villains, heroes, and anti-heroes are all part of the mix in books and in TV. And we were heavy on TV, I guess. But a lot of the characters we talked about are actually in books, like, you know, Raylan Givens from Justified, or Hannibal Lecter, or the Reacher guy or Tracker. They all come from books originally. So we didn't go into like Elizabeth Bennet as a hero from Pride and Prejudice, right, because
everybody knows.
Yeah, we don't.
I wanted to do a little different. I mean, you know, it's complicated.
Very true, sweetheart.
So, you know, we talked about the characters we admire, villains we love to hate, and the complicated anti-heroes who live somewhere in between.
Yes. So what we tried to do is just give an over. I think we got lost in the weeds. We just had a list of so many of them we wanted to talk about.
It was a lot. It was too much.
And I'm guilty, as I always am, on going off into tangents.
Yes.
And I want to talk about something. So I wanted to spend 5 minutes discussing the story of the rifleman, and I couldn't do that. I would stop myself. Actually, I actually like held my arm and then went, "Stop! Don't talk about it. What's the matter with you?"
I think we covered everything that we wanted.
I think we covered the waterfront. Actually,
we did good. I think we did good.
Yes.
So let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
This, I guess we're gonna say same stoop, different magic.
I think we could do that,
and we'll be gone. Same stoop, different magic.
No, I'm supposed to say different magic. The way it works, it's a call and release, catch and release. No, it's a call and response.
Okay, same. We'll see you next time. Same stoop,
different magic. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.